My name is Amund. I'm the founder of Yong, and we help young people globally create a great career and a happy life. That's our mission. We have invited you to a 1-hour conference. We call it a conference. It's actually 4 1-hour slots over some few days, and this is the first one. And I'm going to tell you now how this 1 hour will work. And I have promised you an action-packed hour. And what we're going to do, what that means is that we want to really give you some value. We want to share some good advice with you. I have 2 guests on this 1-hour conference, and these are exciting people. And you will be inspired listening to them. So this 1 hour will first be one 15-minute slot with myself. I will then have 1 guest. I will then have another guest for 15 minutes, and then I'll round it off and wrap it up, and I will then answer questions that you might have in the chat. We have a chat function here. So if you have any questions, throw them into the chat. Moderators from my team is watching the chat at all times, and if you're not able to answer there and then, we may come back to you with the answer later as well. But please use the chat. If you have any problems with technology, try to refresh. We are live. This is not recorded. So anything can happen with technology. I have my colleague Aurora with me. If something happens, we will work it out. But again, it seems like most people that have registered are now online. So I'll kick this off. I just founded a company called Yong. Y-O-N-G. So it's Yong without the U. Yongcareer. And our aim is to help young people build a great career and a happy life. And I'd like to start out defining career for all of you. When I talk about career, what I mean is a meaningful work life. Okay? I'm not talking about becoming a leader or becoming rich or owning a company. For some few people, that's good. But I'm talking about getting the potential out, having a meaningful work life, a work life you can look back on with a big smile on the face one day and thinking the journey couldn't have been better. I'm saying this because a lot of people think career means to move on or to move up. That's not the case, or at least a better way of looking at this is to thinking you want to realize your potential, meaningful work life. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, I had what I will say is a wonderful career, not because what I did, but because what it meant. So it's back to be meaningful again. And I founded Yong because we love to work with young people. Now, I don't want to age discriminate on this conference because we have people in many ages listening in now. But I wrote a book which is called the Career Book, only Norwegian for now, but we translate as we speak to English. And the target group is people between 20 and 34. But the way this content is structured is that they talk about 4 phases. Setting direction, meaning understanding your values, finding the right path for yourself, which, by the way, is the topic of today's conference. Okay? Understanding your motivation. The next stage is finding a job in line with that motivation. And that means, in practical terms, finding jobs, go to the job interviews, differentiate yourself, etc. The third phase is having a job and getting noticed in the job for doing a great job. The 4th phase is next step, influencing people. And this is a timeline, but at the end of the timeline, we turn it into a circle. It's a continuous process. My uncle, he started on university when he was 67. He still revisited his values and found the right thing to do. Now he's 96 and a very happy man. So this is not about an age, but that's the way we have structured the content. Now, what Yong, my company, is doing, we help young people create a great career and a happy life. We also help companies attract and retain young talent. and we have social responsibility. We want to help young people around the world that have struggled in their life, that may not have money, and we would like to help those people as well. So that's the three things we do. Now, in this conference, I talk to you as individuals. I know we have companies attending, we have HR agencies attending, but I'm talking to all of you as individuals. Like, if we can give you some good advice on how you can shape your career. I see a lot of people saying hello on the chat. That's very nice. Please say hello. Hello to everyone. So that's our aim today. Now, at the end of this conference, we will throw in some few links to you. For example, if you like to discuss this topic, how to find the right career path with others, we have a Discord channel. And we will put that link into the chat later in the conference. I will also send you the link to our website, which is yongcareer.com, so you can see what we do. It's a lot of interesting names here. I see names from all over Europe, and not only Europe. We have US people from the US as well. And what we will do, by the way, we have lots of people on this call, but we will share this information with many people, probably thousands, after this call as well. So that's very much the setup. So my aim is to try to help you get some good advice on how you can shape your career. And before we take on the first guest today, I'd like to give you my view. I've told you that career has to do with realizing a potential, doing something meaningful. Okay? Now, the only way to be able to do that is to know yourself well. So the starting point for any good work life or any good career is to understand your drivers. It's often called personal values. In its simplest terms, what do I like to do? What do I enjoy doing? If you have identified your values, and I would also say revisited your values every second or third year, you can steer your career in a smart direction. Because if you one day want to look back on your career with a big smile on the face, the only way you can do that is that you have spent your time on something meaningful. I had an international career. That's not the right thing for you necessarily. I educated myself in the Air Force. I worked internationally, had a big leadership job. I looked after people in 30 countries. And then I founded my own consulting company. Now I have founded Yong. I publish books. I'm not saying this because this is the right thing to do for you. It's just what I did. And by the way, it was a lot of coincidences. But when you are conscious on your values, you can make coincidences work for you. So the first step here, and I'm very curious to hear from my guests today because they have done a little non-traditional things, and I'm very curious to learn from them. But the first step is always, do you understand your values? Do you understand what's important to you? Because it could be that in your career, you know what your dream job is about, but maybe that dream job is not there for the moment. That's life. That's not necessarily a problem, but you know. So you may do other things for a while, which is not in line with your values 100%, but you do that for a reason as well. And everything is back to consciousness. So to all the people on this call, and I see some cool names here. I see Ruby, Olita, Giedre, Edita, Saija will be on the call soon, by the way, as my guest. Valentas, that's for sure Lithuania. Emanuele, Migle, Julia. A lot of good people on the call. Now, start always with your values. What motivates you? What gives you energy to do? Okay? And that is a little of an exercise in itself. And you know what? Most people don't take the time to do this because we are so busy. But that's a little bit like running without thinking about direction. You know, you need to figure out direction first before you, especially if you want to win a race. So understand values. And I won't say too much more about values because before I've listened to my guests, but some few things on values. You know, human beings, we are influenced from so many sources. For example, people around us. Other people may have opinions on what I should do in my career, what job I should take, what education I should take, what changes I should do. Other people may have opinions. Well, they have opinions. Parents, friends, other experts. They mean something for you. Usually, that's good intent. But are these good advices for you? This is the big question. For example, I spoke to a young person last week, and she said that her father is a lawyer, and then I advised her to become a lawyer as well. Is that a good advice? I have no clue. Because maybe she would enjoy being a lawyer, maybe not. And maybe it's a good piece of advice, but she should ask herself. Society sets, if not pressure, but at least expectations to us, how we are supposed to live our lives, etc., etc., etc. And that's all okay. But what I'm saying is this: listen to yourself. Listen to your values. And at the end of the conference, if I have time, I have some few tips on how you check if advice from others are good for you. I can see now that we have a guest knocking on the door. And if technology works, I will have my first guest. And this is an exciting guest. I'm so looking forward to this. So let's see if we can let Tom into the call. Some of the guests I will have these 4 sessions have done a little bit traditional kind of careers, other not so traditional. And today I have a couple of people that have done things not so traditional. And I love to listen to them because they can inspire us, even if we go a little more traditional. So the first guest is soon to be here, if technology works. I can see someone has joined the room. Now I soon see him. Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Can you hear
fantastic.
me well?
We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Oh, that's strange because I think
it's technology.
Okay, now we have.
We can see you now. Fantastic. Listen, thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
You know what? I just said it's a lot of people listening in now, and we will share this probably with thousands of people later. And you can inspire a lot. I know you inspire a lot of people with who you are. And I'm so looking forward to listening to your story because I just call it a little non-traditional. I hope that's okay with you. And your picture froze. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It seems like
yes, I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay, perfect. We'll test it out. Now, I have 100 questions, but you only have 15 minutes.
I will try to answer at least 15 of them.
Yes. You know what? Say some few words about yourself and what you do, your background, so we can learn a little bit. A minute or two would be fantastic.
Okay, so I'm Tom. I'm from Poland originally. Right now I work in the company called Vannado. We build custom camper vans, kind of premium custom camper vans in Poland. And yes, I'm a civil engineer. I used to study civil engineering in Warsaw Polytechnics. Later on, when I graduated, I dropped my career at that point. I decided not to work in that field, and I moved to London when I was working on a bar as a bartender. Later on, I was traveling in Latin America for 3 years, like 2 years on a motorbike and 1 year by hitchhiking. And I ended up living in Brazil, in Amazonian forest, where I founded kind of NGO working with bioconstruction. So we used to have like a volunteering program for altogether like 120 people, more or less. I had to move out of there because of the security reasons in Brazil. At the time, it was very tense. So I moved back to Poland. In the meantime, I was starting a lot of like small projects, businesses. All of them failed at some point. So I think it's pretty normal. Then I was traveling in Asia for half a year. I kind of was very tired of being constantly on the road and traveling. I needed some stability, and I moved back to Warsaw, where I'm from, and I started to work in IT. I used to be a project manager in a company. In the end, after like 1.5 years, I was running the company, and yeah, I decided to drop again because I thought it was great and it didn't make me very happy in the end. And I moved to the van. I made a van conversion myself, just using all the YouTube videos and all of these kind of things. I built the van in 3 weeks, and I moved to Chamonix in France, where I spent 1 year living in a van and climbing in the mountains and skiing. So for the entire year, I was just skiing and climbing. And in the end, I decided that building van was a fun, and I would love to do it for other people. COVID started, so I founded this company called So we're growing pretty fast, and we have like very already professional workshop, and yeah, we're really scaling up. So we kind of not so small company anymore. Yeah, and I'm right now very happy with these choices. So yeah, this is just a little bit introduction.
Yeah, it's very fascinating to listen to you, because you had a little like a traditional education, and then you did very different things. But you fall in love with living in a van. And now you actually build vans for other people that want to live in a van. Now, this is to me very cool. I have to say, I haven't lived in a van, but it's just a cool story. Now, most people that do interesting things, they've had some sort of moment that influenced what they do. I mean, if you think back, what moments influenced your career and the direction you took? What is a moment that you think back on that really meant something?
The first thing, the first thing that comes into my mind is that all the little things. I think we just our careers are built of everything we do and everything that happened in our childhood and all the little decisions that we've made. And there's no right path and a wrong path, and you never really know what influenced you the most. So I'm part of all these little decisions and all these little things that happened to me and people that helped me. But I think that the most influential thing that happened to me was meeting the right people at the right moment. So yeah. There are two people I met. One is Sam, my friend from Brazil, who founded this NGO with me. And another person is Ben, who was CEO at the time in the IT company I was working in Poland. And I think these people, they're most influencing. I mean, Sam helped me to to kind of grow business as a community. And this is something I really strongly believe in. I think this is right now, especially working with young people, this is very, very important to remember that business has to be a community for them. And Ben was amazing because he really believed in me. And I mean, he really could spot my talents and invest in my talents and forget about my weaknesses. Just so I think I'm very grateful to them for all these things they've done to me, and this is the most influential for me to meet these two guys.
I think you have a wonderful point. You say meeting the right people at the right time, which is, in a way, it could be coincidental, but it could also be that we can influence coincidences. We can maybe reach out to people and be a little brave and find people and approach them. And by the way, Tom, I see in the chat you already have some orders for your vans. People want to buy a van. It seems to work very well, I have to say. Yeah. And a person saying on the call, this is awesome. Society teaches us to have a certain house or a job, but we can actually do anything we desire. And yeah, yes. And by the way, maybe that house and the job is fine for some people too. I think what you are doing, Tom, is to give us a little different perspective, which is brilliant. And the person saying this is right. We can actually do whatever we like to do. So, and if back to what I opened with, your values a little bit and have them guide you, I mean, yeah. Now, What made you do something different? You had this traditional education. What made you do other things?
I really think about it very often, and I don't really know. I mean, I can guess, and that's all I can do. I think it's just because I was always ready to risk and get, like this famous phrase, get out of your comfort zone. But I was really doing it. I mean, in traveling, in business, and really being really ready to lose everything I had, except for the people I had. And really, that was something very, very strong for me. And I'm also, like, I think, very, like, ready to work very, very hard. And I mean, like, really doing something 100%. And like, when I'm founding this company, for example, like, I still work 6-7 days a week, 14 hours a day, although it's like really growing up and I could stop doing it. It's just, you have to help your success. So I think this is something that is very different for me than for most of the people. And yeah, that's all I can guess.
But you know what? Don't you think, Tom, that the reason you work so hard is that you love what you do?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm just a hard worker. I used to be a bartender, and I also was working very hard. It's just kind of, this is the way my parents, they raised me up. It's just, they showed me that, you know, just, I like to work. This is it. I mean, I really like to travel and I really like to climb, and I was doing it for a year, but I just like process of working, of creating the value. And for me, working is creating value, and money is the way to represent this value, but working is creating value. And this is bartending, this is cleaning, this is running the company. It doesn't make huge difference for me.
No, but you know what? Maybe even working is a value for you. That could be too. I mean, hard work, you know. I grew up on a farm, and my mother was a hard worker. She could not sit still. She reminds me of you. Maybe you are from that farm too. Anyway, but she had work as a value, and maybe you have that as well. That you just like to work. That could be too. So that's now. I'm curious on another thing. What did other people say about your choices? Because when you do things not in line with what people do, you get comments. What did other people say?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I was doing things in line, like my parents, they work in IT. So obviously when I went to, like, when I stopped traveling and I went to the job, like regular business job in IT, my parents, they were very happy. So when I was doing something opposite to that, they were just really, they were worried. I think they were saying very different things, but usually I saw that people, when that they really cared about me, they were that. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, now you're back again.
Can you hear me still?
Hard, but we can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, I have unstable connection. So people, they were mostly worried about me when they really were caring about me, like my parents, my sister, my close friends. Like, I guess this is something that is also kind of natural, that, like, in the end, I got a lot of support from my close ones, but I think that at the beginning, it was always the same, you know, pattern, that I kind of had to be against their advices. But they were advising me the best, but I had to do against, because I was doing something they didn't know is good.
You know, we got a brilliant question in the chat, and I'd like to ask you to get at least your view on it in some few points. Now, how do you overcome the fear of failure? You know, a lot of people want to do things, but they don't do it. I mean, what is your advice to overcome this fear of failure?
I think, and I still have this fear sometimes. I have it every day. I mean, it's just, in the end, I mean, like, everything you can lose in business usually doesn't really matter. I mean, you think it is important, but in the end, I mean, it just doesn't really matter. And whenever you lose, I mean, some part of the business, whenever you lose some, some opportunity because you chose another opportunity, I mean, like in the end, on your journey, like it just doesn't really matter. So, I mean, if it's not something you can't question, like, I don't know, losing your close people or your, valued employees, or, all of these like things that they have very, very big value. Most of the things we can lose, it doesn't really have much of the value. So,
okay, brilliant point. Now, last quick one. One advice to young people when it comes to shaping their career. One advice.
Yeah, I think it's not.
Oh, we lost you. We lost the advice.
I think for me the biggest. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You tell, now it's better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I have few. One of this is that doing something great is always hard on different different points. Either it is doing something against your mom that doesn't advise you to do it, or it's investing a lot of money, a lot of energy, risking something, working long hours. It will be hard, and that's why one thing, and will be lonely at some point. And the other thing is you never really know what is good, and no one will tell you, and you don't really know. All the things we can do is only guess. So also don't be too serious about it, and don't be frozen. Oh, I don't know if that's the best decision. I think the decision is better than no decision, and don't be too serious about all these things.
Tom, I wish we could speak for 2 hours or a day or two. This is just fantastic. I know I've seen the chat, people love what you're saying. And as I said, there's a lot of people here. We will share this with many, and know that what you're saying is inspiring a lot of people. So thanks so much, and best of luck with your vans. It's
for all of you as well.
Yeah. And everybody know who to call to buy a van. Okay.
Yeah, well, please come. No problem.
Yes. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Wow. If you like me, like interesting people, I mean, Tom was so cool. We have a new guest waiting, knocking on the door, and I let her in. But one piece of advice from Tom: don't take things too seriously. You will mess up. That's life. If we don't try certain things, we won't learn. But when you try certain things, you will mess up too. So maybe we should relax a little more and don't be too afraid of trying things. And Tom said, I met the right people. Yeah, but then you need to be where you meet people. You need to reach out. You need to talk to people. You need to approach people. And I love what he said about all the small things. It's not one big thing. It's all the small things. But we have another guest. And again, if we have technology with us, we have another person that I know will inspire you too. So let's see if we can get Saija to join us. I know this is fast pace, but this is sort of what we invited you to. And I kind of like that 1 hour thing, when you can get quite good advice in a short period of time. So it's not like a big seminar. That can have it could be good too. But this is the format now. I can see Saija has joined for hope, I guess. Saija, can you hear me?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
Did you listen to Tom?
I did, yeah. I'm very inspired. I want to buy a van. I want to go to festivals with a van and live in it for a little bit.
Yeah, I want to buy one too. I do quite a lot of fishing.
Oh,
so
nice.
I will go with
no,
fishing.
I don't have patience for that. But
no, I can do the fishing. You'd go to the other thing. Listen, Saija, I would also say you have a very fascinating background and what you do in your career. And I'm so glad you could come. Again, I have so many questions, but again, we have this short kind of 15-minute thing. But let's start again with who you are and your background a little bit. What do you do?
Yes, only 15 minutes. Okay, let's go. So thank you for having me, first of all. I run a digital media agency. I'm originally from Finland, actually. I live in the UK. So we have offices here in the UK, in Finland, of course, and in Estonia as well. And then on top of that, I'm a DJ. I'm a producer, so I produce music. I've just actually finished a track last night, which is going to come out on my record label. And then I organize events, and I'm a radio host as well. Yeah.
I would say this is also super cool and a little non-traditional. At least this is why I think about it.
Slightly. I think sometimes people are like, "What?" Well, there's a contrast there, but I love it.
Yes, no, I love it too, because and people are easy to judge.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of that.
You that type, but you are very hard to pin down because you do so many things.
Yeah. I don't have time for judgment, so no. I just do my thing. Yeah.
You know what? I asked Tom a question about something that influenced his career.
Yeah.
And I'm curious with you as well, because you do many things. You have done and do many things. So give us a moment that influenced you.
Yes. So one big moment that influenced my career was the kind of arrival of my daughter. That was pretty big deal for me. And I was working at the time in big media agencies in London. I was in the rat race, 9 to 5. I had no time to actually think of anything else. And then suddenly, the plug was pulled off the wall, and my career was almost over because I went on maternity. But actually it was the best thing, obviously, that ever happened to me, because it made me reevaluate my lifestyle, what kind of pace I wanted in my life, just kind of what kind of freedom I wanted, which I realized very quickly that actually I didn't really have. So hence Mahon Digital, my digital media agency, was born whilst I was on maternity leave. And then that kind of fitted my lifestyle, and I could be flexible around my child and around my life, which I realized very quickly. And then I realized, oh my goodness, I can do so many things on top of that. Then I obviously got into music and DJing and production and radio and things like that. And I just realized my full potential. I never knew it was there,
But you know what? Is this about almost like taking a step back now and then and thinking about yourself? Is that what I heard? Because you said my daughter arrived, I had to think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think I don't know if it's in other countries, but especially here in London, life is so fast paced, and I was in this, very fast paced digital career. So I didn't actually have time to think about anything else but going to work and delivering for other people. But what about myself? So it actually made me stop and reevaluate what I really want in life and what is my life about. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think you know what, it's so interesting to hear, because I started this speak today and talking a little bit about our values. And my experience is the same. People don't take the time to think.
Yeah.
Because we run in this hamster wheel.
Yes.
And that hamster, I mean, he's running well, but he's a little stuck in that wheel. He can go out now and then for a drink, but
yeah I think definitely, I'm not saying have a baby to stop and think, but I'm saying that it will be good to kind of stop and think and really realize or kind of understand what your passions are. Like, I'm really passionate about digital marketing, hence I started my own company doing exactly the same pretty much that I was doing before, but with my own rules on my terms. And then obviously the music side of things. So once the companies grew, I have team members and I can delegate now, which is great. So I can kind of also do the music industry side of things and dedicate time for that, because I'm a crazy music fan. So I was thinking, again, I stopped to think, well, what can I do now? And how can I maybe start a career in music that I love so much, but make it a lifestyle and make some money with it as well, but still keep it as my passion. So that's how it all came about.
I see one person in the chat call you very brave.
Oh, thank you. I can't see the chat now, but
no, but I'll give you all the compliments because it's many there.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I think crazy as well, but
maybe a little crazy, but maybe that's brave too.
Yeah,
but
true,
what? what I find very interesting is that it seems like you're saying that you actually sort of do more things now, but with more, in a way, control and passion that you used to do. So,
Yes.
so it's not about not doing many things. It's doing things in line with your passion. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm driven by my passions. And like I said before, I didn't realize I had all this potential in me. You know, I thought this is the only thing I can do, go to work 9 to 5 and come home. But then I realized I have this power within me to actually get involved with music, run my own businesses. And yes, like Tom said, have the right people around you as well to help you. I'm not doing it all on my own. So it's really important to have that, you know, tribe around you to kind of help you do the things you love. And hopefully they will love it too, obviously.
You know what? I have a theory that most people, for sure young ones, but most people underestimate themselves.
Yes.
Would you agree with me?
Sure.
Yeah. Why do you think we do this? Why do we underestimate what we have in us? Why are we doing this?
I think it's ingrained in our brains. Like you know, when you started this conference, you said that since young age, since we are babies and, you know, children, we are kind of given these signals and we are told, you should be this, you should be that. We are put in a box, we are put in a mold. You can do this and you can do that and you should do that. So we don't even think, oh, I wonder what I actually can do, because I'm already told from young age that I should do this and I should do that. So I think it's just we need to get out of that box and think for ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, you're talking a lot about passion, and I tend to use the word like drivers or values. It's kind of the same thing. Now, what are your drivers? Can you name some of them? Because passion is a big word. I mean,
oh, is it? Yeah.
Can you break it down a little bit for us?
Drivers. Oh, people. I'm a people person. I get energy from people. Obviously, my daughter, you know, she's very expensive at the moment, so I need to work hard.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously making my family proud, making my friends and colleagues proud. But I think overall people, you know, I just love to work with different people in different sectors, like in the digital industry that I'm in, working with various clients, and then the music industry, working with creative people and crazy people, and they just give me so much energy, and that really keeps me going. So, you know, lockdown was really, really hard for me. It was really hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned an interesting word. You said, I want to be proud.
Yeah.
And you know, pride it's just a human thing, but when you look into your values, we also, that's my theory, we tend to be a little politically correct, don't we? Yeah, we have learned what we should say, you know, we are hardworking and blah, blah, blah. But for example, touching on things like pride or meaning something to other people, or maybe even things like being a liked person. I mean, I think it's important to think about this because it's just a human thing. And when we know them, it's easier to find things in line with them and have a better life then. Now, what is the biggest learning from your career?
Learning that you can be diverse with your careers. If you want to have obviously one career, that's completely fine. But I don't think I was made for one career only. So you can diversify yourself and do different things and do them really well with passion and actually deliver great results. But you have to be organized, very organized. That's something I've learned. So yeah, I think just being very organized and making sure that you don't burn yourself out and organize your careers to fit your lifestyle. I think then that will bring you happiness. Yeah, definitely.
You said an interesting thing. I noticed you said, I have learned to become organized.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's a learnable skill. Would you agree? You can actually learn it.
Anything is learnable. Anything is learnable, I think. But yeah, once I noticed, like, oh my goodness, I'm spinning quite a lot of plates over here, and some of them are falling. So, you know, like I think I saw a little message about failing and failure and things like that. Yes. You know, that was probably a point in time for me when I thought, okay, I need to get organized because things are failing.
But you know what?
So I learned.
Yeah, I asked that question because, you know, a lot of people talk about how they are. They say, I am this person or that person, or I don't have this skill or this skill. But I believe you can learn many things, and you confirmed it. So if someone says to me, I'm not organized, we can say you can learn to be organized, at least a little more organized.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think that's a limit in people as well. They kind of look at themselves in a box.
Yeah, get out of that box really quickly.
Get out of that box.
Get out of it,
now,
yeah.
It was a question for you. How do you balance all your roles?
I am very organized now. That's how. And I make sure that, the things I do in my life, yes, they are careers, but I don't see them as careers for myself, really. It's my lifestyle. Yeah. So I fit everything around the things that I do. So I do have enough, and I'm very organized. So I have my family time, friend time. Yes, sometimes it gets busy. I might have really long days or long nights or what have you. But I try to make sure I always have a balanced lifestyle in terms of dedicating time for everyone that is important in my life. And at the same time, obviously, doing what I love to do. So, yeah.
But would you agree with me that when you do things you really love to do, it doesn't feel like hard work in a way? It's almost like it's giving energy more than taking energy. Is that the way you feel it? Oh.
Yeah. This is, I wouldn't call it work. I just do my thing, Yes. Nobody says to me, go to work or finish your work, or because obviously, I have my own companies and I do these things on my own. So there's no one to tell me anything, which I love because I like to make my own rules. But yeah, it doesn't feel like work. As long as you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. And then of course you have to recognize when things start to feel like hard work. I don't really like it so much anymore. Then maybe it's time to reevaluate. Like Tom said, I think he changed career a few times. So, it's not kind of, if you start a career, you can always change it as well. That's the beauty of life.
I think you have a wonderful point. I think people should think about that more. I meet people, of course, I work now a lot with young people. And I understand when you're young and you think you're 23 and you have wasted half a year, it's a disaster and things like that. But you learn later it's not. But you also meet people that, let's say, are 45. And some of them say to me, or they talk as if the career is almost over.
Oh, goodness. Oh no, 45 is very young. What are you talking about?
You're right. You're halfway through. You're only half.
Yeah, we are not in the oven yet.
Yeah. And I just opened, maybe you heard, my uncle started on university when he was 67.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. He has a 30 years career after retiring.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I have one more important question. One advice for young people. How to shape your career.
Oh, I think listen to you said this, and I had really, you said this in the beginning, but I'm going to say it again just to repeat you, because I think it was really good advice, but it would be my advice as well. Listen to yourself, listen to your heart when you are choosing, when you come to the point where you want to think about your career. Don't just think about career and what is, what other people have said to you that you should have as a career. Listen to yourself. How can I be happy? What am I really passionate about? And actually anything in this world is learnable, and anything is in this world can be made into a career, even if it's completely something new and it hasn't been invented yet. So just be brave as well and listen to your heart and not just other people, and just go for it and try. Don't be scared of failure or failing. I hate those words. I wish we could just change that conversation and forget about those words. Nobody wants to see you fail, and nobody actually fails. It's just opportunities to learn and discover something new.
Yeah, I've heard someone say, if we shouldn't say failure, we should say feedback.
Yes, I like that.
I did something. Yeah, it didn't really work. Wonderful feedback.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I failed and
it's just very negative. We don't like negative things. No.
But you know what? Have you always thought this way, or has this kind of matured on you? Have you always kind of had this way of thinking?
No, I think I've matured into it and learned along the way. And I've had a few stumbles as well. But then I've been like, oh, actually, if I didn't have that stumble, I wouldn't have discovered this, better way of working or better way of growing my company or better way of doing music, whatever it is. So it's always been because I've had a stumbling block, So it's actually a very positive thing to happen because you might change direction and that direction might be a better one.
Yeah, I said when we started out, we will be inspired today. And Tom had some very good angles. And I think what you're saying is fantastic. I think, again, we have a lot of people listening in now, but we will share this with probably thousands.
Amazing.
And this will inspire people.
Oh, that's great.
But you know what? Just one final thing. I can't not ask this question. Why are you, this brave? I think a lot of people want to be brave, but they don't dare to be brave.
Oh,
how could you help them to be a little more brave?
Oh, I think just don't worry about it. Don't worry. We worry so much. You know what I hate? I used to do this. I am guilty of it. I used to overthink and overanalyze everything to the point where I was like, oh, I'm feeling a bit sick, And then I realized this is not healthy. I am worried about things that haven't even happened. Who says they are even going to happen? I'm crazy. I'm nuts. So no, don't overthink. Just go for whatever you want to do and forget about that overthinking and fear and all the negativity because it hasn't even happened. You might find something amazing in front of you. And don't worry about other people too much. This is your life. We are only ones here in this planet and, we should be brave and use it wisely.
Very much what Tom said. Don't worry too much.
Exactly. Yes, I agree completely.
Saija, this has been absolutely amazing. You inspire a lot of people.
Oh, thank you. I am inspired by all of you as well.
So thanks a lot for joining. I hope we can do this again because when I see all these comments here, we should do more of this. But let's come back
absolutely.
to it. Thanks a lot for joining and best of luck in your career. And say hello to your daughter.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Now, I have to say, these were two fantastic guests. And what I'm going to do now, we have a short 10 minutes. If you have any questions in the chat, please throw them my way and I'll try to wrap it up. If you don't have some questions in the chat, I'll wrap it up with some of the things they said. But back to what I would say as the founder of Yong. You have more in you than you think you have. And there are more opportunities than you think there are. I guarantee you. And Saija said that, Tom said that. So this thing about being a little brave, I just love. It can be as simple as talking to someone, approaching someone, calling someone, contacting someone. Simple, small things like this. Because the more you do this, the more you reach out, and the more people you will connect with, and more opportunities will come your way. And fear of failing is a big one in human beings. But often this is a learned thing. We have learned to fear failure. Try to unlearn that. If you approach someone and they don't want to talk to you, that's the worst thing that could happen. That's the worst thing. They just want to chat. Fine. That's not a problem in a way. It's not a disaster. So we should learn to be a little more brave. The other thing I'd like to say is that Saija called it passion. Tom used different words. I tend to call it personal values. Wherever you are in your career, take the time to uncover your values. Use a coach, reach out to us, go to my website, you can learn things there. But do that and do it on a regular basis. It's like your compass. And even if you can't follow that path here and now, you can come back to that path. So it's not like back to this dream job or a bad job. There are many jobs that can give you something. If I choose to work with something which is not a dream job, I do that for a reason as well. And that's also a reason. So it's not like it's necessarily bad. and I come back to my best path over time. I see many questions in the chat now. One saying deal with an aggressive manager. Oh, that's a separate topic, but that's a very good question, by the way. How do you deal with an aggressive manager? Well, I would find a new one. Either you have to figure out if you can live with that aggressive manager or change the aggressive manager. If you can't, find a new one. I know this is simplified advice, but this is what I do. I have done in my career. How do you identify fear? Sometimes we think it's because we are shy, but when do we know it's fear stopping us from doing what we want? I use a very simple model. I think it would be interesting to talk to that person. It would be interesting to call that person or something like that. Or it would be interesting to do whatever I want to do. And I just try to do it. Either I do it or I don't do it. And I'm not too worried about why. What I'm going to call this. I just think of ways I can overcome it. The other thing you should do is to have people around you that help you think the right way. You know, you become more or less the average of the 5-6 people you spend the most time with. So think about people you have around you that influence you. If you have people that motivate you, it's a completely different thing than people that maybe push you down. Okay? And you find all of them out there. Spend time with people that motivates you. This is also extremely important. One person saying, and tips to control fear in the moment. You know, if we talk about fear as a physical thing, you know, I would like to do something, but I'm a little bit afraid. I feel nervous, for example. Breathing and using your body is actually the simplest way. Remember to breathe, take a glass of water, get some fresh air. That's the quickest way to change your mental state. But you should learn to do this. You have to train it, okay? But that's the quickest way to take fear out of the moment. One question: how do you follow your values when you're in a relationship with someone that shares different values? What a good question. When you say relationship, that could be work relationship, or it could be a private relationship. To me, that can work, but if you have a value crash, you have to do something. If I believe living my life in this direction is good, I have a relationship with someone thinking this direction is better. If this is not aligned enough, I just can't do it. And to me, judged by values is a good thing. Okay? So again, I would say if it's a value crash with your company, your organization, your partner, it's a crash. You have to change it. But Saija is still there and saying, you know what? Both sides should understand the other or respect the other person's values. I agree. So understanding values instead of fighting them is a good starting point. But sometimes it's a crash. You may work for a company that have values not in line with yours, and you may take action on it. But understand them first. It could also be that when you think someone has different values, investigate them first, so you're absolutely sure. But for example, if you talk about a job, twice in my career, I left the job because of the boss. And that was serious jobs, and I didn't want to leave. I just couldn't work with that leader. Okay? So we are back to passion, back to understanding values, back to understanding drivers. And we're closing in on this hour. I'll just leave you with some few advice when it comes to how others advise you. Simple model. If someone else advises you to do certain things in your career, 3 ways to check if these are good advices for you. 1, does the advice take a starting point in you? Your drivers, your motivation, your talents, your dreams. Is the person thinking about you? If not, maybe not so good advice. The second one, ask them why. If someone advise you to do certain things, ask them why. What motivates them to say that, okay? And what will it give you to follow that advice? If they can't answer that question, not so good. The third one is it a standard advice? Because some people always give the same advice. They say to everyone, you should do this or that. If it's a standard advice, it's not so good for the individual again. Okay? And the person with the question on the value and value crashes, if it means that you would like to travel and your partner wants to settle down, we are into private life now. My advice is talk about it. Like Saija said, try to understand. Maybe someone is okay with this. Someone wants to travel, the other one wants to settle down. Maybe you can do that for a while. But if it's a crash again, sorry, it will be very hard. Okay? It can be some sort of compromise. A timeline. Yes, you can have a timeline too. Listen, this is the first out of 4 sessions. We have another session tomorrow from 1 to 2. We have a session the 3rd of November from 11 to 12. And we have a session on the 4th of November from 2 to 3. If you like what we do here, please join us in the next sessions as well and invite your friends. Again, I'm now running the company called Yong, or we call it ourselves yongcareer, yongcareer.com. We want to help young people globally create a good career, and by that, create a good life as well. You find information about us on our web. Now we will put the web link in the chat, and we will also put the link to the Discord chat channel if you want to continue discussing it there. We help companies attract, develop, and retain young talent, and we also have this social responsibility. Thanks a lot for coming, and a special thank to Tom and Saija. I mean, that was just amazing to listen to you. Now you see the chat, the links in the chat. Remember some of the things they said, Saija and Tom. Don't worry too much. Follow your passion. Be a little brave. Don't be afraid of failure. Any final question? I think we have a couple of minutes left. People saying thank yous, and again, thanks for coming. And by the way, last point from me. Your career is a 40-year journey. 40. Be conscious. Okay? Be conscious. You would like to have 40 fantastic years, and you can have. Have a wonderful day, all of you. Thanks a lot for coming. Maybe we speak tomorrow or the 3rd or the 4th of November as well, and invite some friends. We'd like to share this with as many as we can because we now launch yongcareer.com. See you soon. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful career as well.